She looked down at the restaurant menu, quietly closed it, and whispered, "I'm sorry, I can't afford this date." The entire table went silent. People nearby glanced at us. I could see the embarrassment in her eyes, the kind that comes from carrying burdens no one else can see. But what I said next changed not only that evening, it changed both of our lives forever. I thought I was simply taking someone out for dinner. I never imagined that one honest sentence, one impossible choice, and one hidden truth would lead me to discover what real love actually costs. I met Emma on a rainy Tuesday afternoon at a small bookstore near my office. I wasn't looking for love. After my last relationship ended, I had convinced myself that focusing on work was safer than opening my heart again. She was standing on a ladder, trying to reach a novel from the top shelf. Before I could offer help, she lost her balance. "I've got you," I shouted, catching her before she hit the floor. She laughed nervously. Well, that's one way to meet someone. That laugh stayed in my mind long after I left the bookstore. Over the next few weeks, we kept running into each other. Sometimes at the bookstore, sometimes at the coffee shop across the street. Eventually, I asked for her number. To my surprise, she smiled and said yes. Our conversations became the best part of my day. She wasn't flashy. She didn't post glamorous pictures. She didn't care about expensive things. She listened, really listened. She remembered little details about my family, my dreams, and even my favorite childhood movie. For the first time in years, I felt understood. After a month of talking, I asked her out to dinner. She hesitated. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Absolutely." She smiled, but something about it felt worried. I ignored it. That Friday, I reserved a table at one of the nicest restaurants downtown. Maybe I wanted to impress her. Maybe I wanted to prove I could finally give someone a beautiful evening. She arrived wearing a simple blue dress. No designer handbag, no expensive jewelry, yet she was the most beautiful woman in the room. We sat down. The waiter handed us menus. I noticed her smile slowly disappear. She stared at the prices for several seconds before quietly closing the menu. Then she looked at me. "I'm really sorry." Her voice barely came out. "I can't afford this date." For a second I thought she was joking. Then I noticed her hands shaking. "I'm serious," she whispered. "I should have told you earlier. I don't split expensive dinners because I simply can't." I smiled. Then I pushed my menu aside. "So don't." She blinked. "I invited you." "But, no." I gently interrupted. "You don't owe me anything." Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand." "I think I do." "No, you don't." She took a deep breath. "I worked 2 jobs. I stayed quiet. My mom has kidney disease." Another pause. "My little brother is in high school." She looked away. "Every dollar I make goes to them." The restaurant suddenly didn't matter anymore. Neither did the expensive food. Neither did the fancy lights. All I saw was someone who had been carrying the weight of an entire family by herself. I smiled softly. I reached for the menus. "We're leaving." She looked confused. "Leaving?" "Yes." "Because I embarrassed you?" I laughed. "No." I stood up. "Because I know a better place." 20 minutes later, we were sitting on a park bench, eating hot dogs from a street vendor. $5, 2 drinks, 1 shared order of fries. She laughed harder than she had all evening. "I can't believe we left that restaurant." "I can." "This is your dream date?" "No." "What is?" I looked at her. "This." She stopped smiling. "Why?" "Because you're finally comfortable." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. She quietly wiped away a tear. I've never had someone choose me over appearances. Weeks turned into months. Our relationship grew naturally. Instead of luxury restaurants, we explored farmers markets. Instead of expensive vacations, we watched sunsets from rooftops. Instead of buying gifts, we wrote letters. Those became my favorite memories. One evening she admitted something she'd never told anyone. When my dad left, he said poor people don't deserve dreams. I felt my chest tighten. I believed him for years. I took her hand. Then he was wrong. She smiled through tears. Little by little she started believing it too. Around that time she secretly began recording voice journals about everything we experienced together. One night she played one for me. I don't know if anyone will ever hear these. Maybe they'll just stay between us. I laughed. Or maybe one day they'll sound like stories from Echo of Tales. She smiled. I'd like that. Months later, life changed again. Her mother's health suddenly became worse. The doctors recommended surgery. The cost was enormous. Emma tried to hide how scared she was, but I noticed. She began skipping meals, working overtime, selling her belongings. One afternoon I found her crying alone in her car. I can't do this anymore. You don't have to do it alone. I've always done it alone. Not anymore. That night I made the biggest decision of my life. For years I'd been saving money to buy my dream sports car. Every extra paycheck had gone into that account. The next morning, I emptied it. Every dollar. Emma found out by accident. She rushed into my apartment. You sold your dream. I changed my dream. She burst into tears. You can't do this. I already did. Why? I smiled. Because cars don't hug you back. She couldn't even speak. The surgery happened 2 weeks later. It was successful. Her mother survived. Watching Emma hug her mom outside the hospital remains the most beautiful moment I've ever witnessed. I thought life would finally become easier. I was wrong. 3 months later, my company announced major layoffs. I lost my job. Just like that. I didn't tell Emma immediately. She already had enough stress. She knew. One evening she came over carrying 2 grocery bags. I heard. I nodded. I'm sorry. She smiled. She reached into her purse. Inside was an old envelope. She handed it to me. What is this? Open it. Inside was every birthday card. Every little cash gift. Every dollar she'd secretly saved over the past year. I was saving this for our future. I stared at her. It's yours now. I can't take this. You once gave up your dream for my family. She smiled. Now let me protect mine. For the first time in my life, someone was choosing me. Not because I was successful. Not because I had money. Simply because I mattered. Eventually I found another job. A better one. Life slowly settled. Years later I finally asked her to marry me. Not in a luxury hotel. Not on a beach. Not with fireworks. I took her back to the same park bench where we'd shared those cheap hot dogs. I handed her another paper bag. 2 hot dogs, 1 order of fries, and a tiny ring box taped underneath. She laughed so hard she almost dropped the food. Then she cried. Then she whispered the easiest word I'd ever heard. Yes. On our wedding day, people admired the decorations, the flowers, and the music. But none of those things were what made the day unforgettable. During her vows, she looked into my eyes and said something I'll never forget. The day I told you I couldn't afford our date, I thought you'd walk away. She smiled through tears. Instead, you taught me that love isn't about finding someone rich enough to buy everything. She squeezed my hands. It's about finding someone kind enough to make you feel priceless. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Years have passed since then. The restaurant where everything began has closed. The park bench is older now. The street vendor retired. But every anniversary, we recreate that first real date. Cheap food, simple clothes, endless laughter. Because that night reminds us of the most important truth we've ever learned. Money can create comfort. It can buy luxury. It can impress strangers. But it can never replace kindness, loyalty, sacrifice, or genuine love. The richest people I've ever met weren't the ones with the biggest houses or the fastest cars. They were the ones who made someone else feel safe when life became unbearable. Emma once believed she couldn't afford a date. The truth was, I couldn't afford to lose someone like her. If this story taught me anything, it's this. Never judge a person's worth by what they can spend. The strongest hearts often belong to those carrying the heaviest burdens. Real love isn't measured by the price of dinner, the size of a diamond, or the number in a bank account. It's measured by the quiet sacrifices, the honest conversations, and the choice to stand beside each other when life becomes difficult. And sometimes, the simplest meal shared with the right person becomes the most valuable memory you'll ever own.